righty. Well, let's give them another round of applause. That was fantastic, just like all the other panels today. And as we wrap up here, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us. I do have one last speaker, but this will be the last you see me, so I wanted to thank everyone for joining and all the great speakers today. And to close us out, I'm going to invite to the stage Karen Valenta, Vice President of the Cyber Center for Excellence at GDIT. Let's give her a warm welcome to the stage.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Real quickly, I only have 5 minutes, but I do want to thank all the speakers for the sessions this morning. I think they've been great. I do have some highlights that I want to share with you to try and leave you with some final thoughts. Aaron kicked us off this morning and started talking about some of the offensive things that were going on in the cyber world today. And that causes us to really think about how we're defending our systems today. And the discussions today were fabulous. We started off with the cyber situational awareness session. We talked about how compliance, we've got some good standards in place there. We're moving out quickly with some of these things. We still have some challenges getting some funding in these areas. But now we're going to add automation and some dynamic scoring to make sure that we're focused in the right place. Our CISA rep this morning talked about focusing on this resiliency and started with the words assume breach. And I think everybody in this room's got to think about that every day of your lives from now on, because that is huge, because that's what happens to even organizations with great security posture. And so we need to be able to respond to those things and defend against those things. So the threat intelligence session this morning talked about making risk-based decisions, establishing tradecraft. I think this is so important that every organization needs to have a playbook, how they're going to address when things happen, what's going to happen, and where is the human in the loop who owns that outcome? How are things going to occur? The session on cyber as mission theater, I love the goal that every tactician should learn how to use cyber and to be trained in it. I think that's where we need to be with all of our employees and all of our organizations. And from a GDIT perspective, our customers expect that from us today. And we need to elevate that. We need to make sure that we're doing that, and that in our partnerships with the government and other vendors and things, that is still in our forethought in everything that we do. Cyber as a mission theater, that goal is to be less focused on compliance and more on resiliency. That came out. I think Dr. Sailing did a good job in addressing AI. You know, where does AI fit in this whole process? And he really specifically says it tries to push us to look at things from the non-expected situations. AI does that. It goes places where people's minds don't go, and it surfaces things for us to pay attention to. And that is huge. It's also great at identifying those very slight variances that the human eye and the human sometimes misses and can't even look at all the data that's there. So AI is our friend, and it's going to be our solution to how we push forward. Cyber in the contested environments. We heard from our CIA rep here today, you know, that AI and the change in actors is changing everything that we do, you know, and he coined the term active cyber defense posture. I think that is another thing that every organization needs to make sure that they're doing. And they're doing it in different ways than they did it years ago. And they need to constantly look at how they're doing that and improve on doing that. Training for incidences, that was mentioned in that session as well. We don't do enough to train. We don't know how to restore our data sometimes in some of these situations, but we have to do that. There's no turning back now, because these breaches are going to occur and we're going to have to respond to them. In terms of the proactive cyber operations session, I love Jen Gase when she said, what are we doing? Well, we're breaking down and visualizing the vulnerabilities of our environment, and we're looking at it to be able to remediate, have that mindset for all of our developers, and I would add, and integrators, because we don't develop everything anymore. We have AI developing things for us. We have products that we're using, and we need to make sure that whoever is touching our systems has this mindset and is looking forward to how to address this. The tools, the AI and the vendor products, they're in place, and they have to add value. And the challenge is there's so many of these things out there that are coming on the marketplace. Just being able to decipher what's there and how does it fit securely into our environments is a challenge going forward. But we must do that. We must find the best tools, and we must keep deploying them and fitting them into the environments where they can make the most difference. Finally, the session on defensive cyber operations, the risk models changed, and everybody's got to own that, and I think that's huge. Operationalizing zero trust, it's a necessity. It's something that's, it's a call to action, because if we don't limit that blast radius when we get breached, we're going to have problems. So to summarize, from my optic, it's just not cyber resiliency that we need to plan for, but we need to make sure that all of our organizations are moving out with due diligence to make sure that that resiliency is in place. So that's our call to action to figure out how to become more resilient. So thank you, and have a great day.